Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a day after reaction to Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. God, I don't like that title, but whatever. It's one George Miller went with, so we'll just go with it. This movie, well, yesterday was day one of Carolina Fear Fest. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to do an after reaction video to the whole fest. I do that every year, like a recap. It was a lot of fun. Me and Dale underscore from the Bat and Spider podcast were there all day. And then we went over to the Regal Theater in Cary to see Furiosa. And, you know, when this was first announced, I was like, prequels can be such a mixed bag. Usually they're answering questions nobody's asking. I mean, George Miller's doing it, so you know the action's going to look good. It's going to be well constructed, but do we need this film? And then the trailers came out, and you know, Chris Helmsworth's in there. I like Chris Helmsworth, and it looks like he was having a blast. Anya Taylor-Joy, I've never seen her in a movie, believe it or not. So this is my first experience seeing her acting, and she doesn't have a whole lot of lines. I think she has like 30 lines in the whole movie, just like Tom Hardy had in Fury Road. And in the trailer, it looked like there was a hell of a lot of CGI. But let's get into it. We'll talk about the film. Minor spoilers here. I'm not going to spoil anything major, but you know, I think if you like Fury Road and saw it, you know where this film is going. It's telling the backstory of Furiosa, which in Fury Road was played by Charlize Theron. And we see young Furiosa living in the green place, and she gets taken. She's wandering off with her friend, and they're picking apples out of a tree, and she gets taken. And this is when we're introduced to Dementis, played by Chris Helmsworth, who, Chris Helmsworth, I'll say this right now, is awesome in this film. And you can tell he had an absolute blast doing this film. You could just see it on his face that he is having the time of his life making this film. And it's glorious. He's dangerous. He's insane. He's also smart enough to be dangerous, but he's not that smart. He's kind of stupid in some aspects as well, but he's great here. Wonderful performance by Chris Helmsworth. Probably the best I've seen him do. He's awesome here. And I've always liked his performances, but I think this is his best one ever so far. And he gets Furiosa young, and her mom comes to save her, which she does, but they get captured and her mom gets killed. Now she's property of Dementis, and he takes her around in his cage. He takes good care of her, makes sure nobody hurts her, but then he tries to take on the Citadel and Immortan Joe, and soon he realizes he can't take Immortan Joe, but he makes a deal with Immortan Joe because he takes over Gastown. He runs Gastown, and Immortan Joe gets to keep Furiosa and his doctor. And so he makes that deal. And pretty much we see Furiosa being brought up within the Citadel. And then before we know it, she's an adult. And we see Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't show up for the first hour of this film. The young actress playing young Furiosa is great. She really is. And once Anya Taylor-Joy shows up, she's great. She's doing a lot with her eyes, and she does those magnificent eyes of hers. So, I mean, just like Tom Hardy as Max in Fury Road, she doesn't have a whole lot to say. I mean, she has lines towards the end and very small lines throughout, but she doesn't have a lot to say. But she's fantastic in the action sequences. From what I read, she did a lot of her own stunts. The action is really well done, and Miller handles it very, very well. There's a very impressive action sequence about halfway through the movie, maybe three-quarters way of the movie. It never gets topped. All the action is well done and well shot, but this one sequence is phenomenal. It really, really is. And basically, Furiosa, she gets taken under the wing of this guy who runs the war rig to go get gas and bullets from Bullet Town, or the Bullet Farm. And he mentors her how to survive in the wasteland because he's going to help her escape so she can find her way back to the green place. He gets killed by Dementis, and she wants to kill Dementis, and at the end, you know, she has her last final battle with Dementis, and that's the end of Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. What to like about this? Well, the acting is phenomenal. Immortan Joe looks great, and he has more to do here than he did in Fury Road. More lines, you know, you get to see him thinking things out, and you know, we spend more time in the Citadel. We get a more sense. George Miller definitely fleshes out the wasteland more. We get to see these different fortresses, the Bullet Farm, Gastown more, how it all works, how all the political deals that they've made with these different factions. And it really was interesting. It was more, I enjoyed this film a lot more than I anticipated, for sure. And the action is there's some amazing action sequences here. Anya Taylor-Joy is great as Furiosa. Again, not saying a whole lot, doing most of the acting with her eyes and facial expressions. All the acting across the board is phenomenal. It looks great. It sounds great. It was loud as hell in the theater Dale and I saw it in. So I really did enjoy this film. Now, there are a few negatives. Plot-wise, there's a plot. This is where a minor spoilers here. There's a plot point where Furiosa is put in with Morton Joe's wives for protection. She's still a young girl, and he tells her that you're very healthy, so once you're old enough, you'll be married off and you'll have my offspring. So she's in this, his one son, who's a big brute, and he was in Fury Road, who's not that smart, goes in, and it was a very awkward scene, a very uncomfortable scene. It was almost like he was going to try to sexually assault her. She gets away. And then she just hides out as his boy, working for Morton Joe, building war rigs and stuff. And it never gets mentioned, like, why Morton Joe wasn't pissed that Furiosa was gone. Where did she go? Who let her out? It never comes up again. She just kind of melds in to the background as pretending to be a boy and helping out build this war rig. And then later on, they know she's a woman, and it never gets addressed, like why Morton Joe wasn't pissed that she got out and how'd she get out, who took her, how she escaped, how'd she get out of this vault. It never gets addressed, and it kind of bugged me. It's a small thing, but it's something that got dropped. Maybe it was shot and it got cut out for time, because the other negative of this film is it's too long. This movie could be cut down by at least 15 minutes. Easily, it could have been cut down to 15 minutes. I really didn't. It's broke down into chapters, but there was no reason for this movie to be 2 hours and 25 minutes. It could have easily been 2 hours if they would have tightened it up a little bit, but I'd say at least 10, 15 minutes could have been shaved off of this, and it would have ran more efficiently than it does. As it is, it's a little bloated. For how much I enjoyed it, I would say it's still a little bloated. And the one other thing, my other negative is George Miller definitely used more CGI here than he did in Fury Road. Fury Road, yes, a lot of it was done practically, but there was CGI used. Not just for that dust storm, there was some CGI augmentation used, but not a lot, but they did use CGI. Here, you can see there's a way more CGI used here than there was in Fury Road, and that disappointed me. After all the painstaking time and money they spent on Fury Road to do it practically, to use CGI here, I mean, there are a lot of cool practical stunts, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of practical stuff here, and there was less CGI than I was worried about when I first saw the trailer, because the trailer looked fake, like it was green screen everywhere. Seeing the movie, that's not the case, but there was definitely more CGI than I would like. For action films, I wish they wouldn't use CGI. Use it sparingly. Let's go back to old school action where it's done for real. People are doing real stunts. Now, they do real stunts here. Again, don't get me wrong. There's real stunts and they're spectacular here. But there was definitely more CGI used. And that's a complaint by me, because there's so much CGI has been used out the ass. Besides space epics, fantasy, and superhero movies, CGI should be used minimally. And when I see it used quite a bit, it kind of disappoints me. So I was disappointed in that aspect. But overall, I enjoyed this film way more than I thought. So I would give Furiosa a Mad Max Saga, even though I don't like that title. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed it that much. I would buy this on 4K. And if you liked Fury Road, I would recommend checking this out. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed it so much. And I was actually enthralled and interested in the inner workings of the Wasteland and all the different treaties and political leanings. It was very interesting, and Chris Helmsworth's performance is worth the price of admission alone. He is great here, and he is having a blast. So 9 out of 10 for Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Have you seen it yet? Do you plan on seeing it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with another video, but until next time, bye.